Good morning. Thank you for showing up. This is our Tech4Food. So the first such initiative. My name is Ramesh. I run Food Safety Works along with Sarika. I am a techie by background. Not that I do too much of it now, but I am a technologist, and I kind of ended up in food for after some transitions and loops. And I realized that there is a lot of domain knowledge that exists in this industry, which I think solution providers may or may not know, right? So, uh, especially the technologists tend to stick with very, very technology without understanding the domain. So, we thought there was an opportunity for us to create a community where we could discuss about problems, we could discuss about solutions, we could discuss about opportunities that are available to everyone. So I'm sure the people in the food industry are looking for certain solutions, and people in the tech industry are looking to innovate, to apply some of these technologies or some of the services, offer some of these services. And we thought this will be a very good way to have a common platform where we can interact with each other. It's not meant to be a one-off thing, so it's going to be an ongoing exercise. This is the first in the series, so we are trying to also figure out how we will structure this deal. This is the first. So this time we thought it will be interesting to talk about fruits and vegetables as a category, right? So within food, there's a lot of categories, a lot of, although everybody calls it food, but you will realize once you get into the industry that the dairy works very different from the meat works very different from an F&B, ready to cook, ready to eat, and you can go on, right? So that it's an industry where the category is an industry by itself. Unlike, I'm sure that complexity exists in other industries, but in food we don't seem to be able to appreciate the fact. We do a lot of product development in which everybody thinks that the way you make a juice is very different. If you make juice, you can also make chapatis or you can also make something else. But these are very, very different problems and different statements. So we thought we'll start with focusing a little bit on F&B this month. We're going to make this a quarterly event right now. So this is the first of the series. Then the second one, we intend to do it on dairy. So hopefully we will be able to do this at a dairy farm, at a dairy plant, so Akshakalpa probably. So that will be the second one, and then we'll do the third one, and then the fourth one is probably going to be our annual food safety conclave. So we have an annual event called the India Food Safety Conclave, which we started last year. So there's going to be a segment in that which will be talking about technology, so where we intend to invite people who will be there. So that's really the objective, agenda, and goals of this initiative. We did the last minute join, so it looks like some people have joined us online. When we talked about this, I think the industry has been very, very helpful and welcoming. We have some good friends in the industry. Srini volunteered to host us here, so thank you for doing this, and the whole Metro team coming in Saturday early to get this fixed. Also our HasGate team, so they are our community partners trying to enable us to build this community. They have also been very, very tech focused kind of things, but they are, so it's been about 3 months in planning, so it just looks like a 1.5 or a half a day event, but it's been 3 months in the planning trying to run all of this. So we'll see, and we'll hear, and we will hear back from the online folks also what the feedback is in everybody in this room and what we should do better. So the idea is to collectively see how we can do things better and how do we improve things. So that's really what the objective is, right? Right before this, we were talking about solution, we were talking about problem, we were talking about costs, we were talking about various aspects. So when you start breaking it up, you will see lots of things start surfacing. So we want to use this opportunity to see what all we can surface. Maybe it can be a discovery platform as well, right? So through this, maybe there is a service provider somewhere who's already working on it. Maybe they can come in and talk to us, talk to the community about what they are building, get feedback on it. Whether it is there, do some trials, do some pilots. So it's really an open-ended agenda to try to bring all of the people who are involved in this or who would like to get involved, who would like to understand, and who would like to create solutions around it. And it does not have to be India alone. India is sort of unique in terms of food palette and everything that we do. So there is some uniqueness about India, but this could really be solutions that could go global. It does not have to be limited to here only. These are problems that the world faces, and I think whatever we can do to help is really, really appreciated, I guess, and welcome. So thank you once again for coming in. Just to introduce ourselves, we are called Food Safety Works. We've been in this business of food safety, regulatory compliance, audits, etc. for 14 years. I keep forgetting, about 14 years. We are also trying to build some tech around how to do better regulatory understanding ourselves. So we do have an app called My FSSAI, we are doing the beta on it, and you can download it from the Play Store. It's already available, but we are slowly building it up so that it can be a one-stop shop for all your regulatory and compliance services, because that tends to be very, very difficult. India is a predominantly MSME kind of a market. Most people don't understand the regulation. The regulation itself is very, very new, right? Considering 2011 is when really the regulation came in. So we are just about 10, 12 years in the life of a regulation. And for anybody who's involved with FSSAI, they will know. They said they changed the regulation roughly about 3 times a month, 4 times a month. So we roughly about 100 odd amendments come every year on it. So it's a very, very evolving regulation. So to help ease such regulatory and compliance processes, so we are also trying to see what we can do about it. So with that, I think we have 2 speakers today. So we are happy to have Srini from Metro, and he'll talk about some of the supply chain, some of the issues, and how Metro is solving some of them, or not solving some of them, or running into problems with that. So his insights, and then there is Rubal. So Rubal runs QZens, and they make devices which help you detect the aging or quality of the fruits and vegetables. So that's the second talk, and then we will also have a tour of the store. Most of the people will see it from outside, what you see, what is there, but there is a lot of work that goes inside to make sure that the food that reaches you is safe and healthy and nutritious and all of that. So I think that's part of the agenda, and then we'll come back and do a short Q&A. That's really what we do today, and then continue the engagement through the community. So that's really the agenda. And before I hand over, I just want to kind of play a quick corporate video. I am very, very ill prepared for today, but I thought I'll at least play the video for everybody's benefit, so you understand kind of the supply chain overall and where we are. Technology always fits. However hard you make it,
It's a good platform.
Sorry?
It's a good platform.
Yeah. like to believe that technology never fails. All the techies think that there is this one use case which will never occur, and it always occurs. And it crashes. Alright, so that's kind of right from the beginning to the end of what we play in. So you see there is scope for technology to be applied at every step. This is just the food safety part of it, and there are so many more things that need that. So thank you and welcome once again, and over to Srini.
This one very, this is 200-year-old organization. So
200 plus years of experience, the team experience is what we talk about. Team's experience. Yeah, we are not 200 years. Food safety did not exist before.
it existed in a natural way.
Yeah.
Second time.
Here I think
Because
is
the
the
slide is. Okay. We will adjust. You need the mic as well. Okay, good morning everyone. I think the expected crowd is not there. But still, I think, some old faces, Ramesh, Sarika, thank you very much. So I think, I agree with Ramesh. I think that the concept was actually made. We all felt actually that we were alien types, because food safety is something which is not actually working as very regular. Now with Metro, I think as you all know, we are actually in between the supply chain. We are not the main actor. Of course, manufacturing is the first, and Metro is the second phase actually where we have the supply chain here. So how many of you know Metro? So, yes, Giri is actually a veteran. So what do we do?
We can order fresh food stores and groceries.
Okay. Any other?
So Metro had been a backbone for the mom and pop stores in India, Kiranas, what we call as. It's a substantial value addition to the products. So it is on this.
Okay, good. Any more?
I would say it's a one-stop solution at least for, the household guys as well as the, kirana stores. They can just come and pick up a lot of things, and I think that makes it easy instead of going to the traders, different places. And that's all.
Right. So I think all of your answers are right. So I'll just explain to you what is Metro. We are an 100% B2B, business to business, and then like one-stop solution, like the way Sarika said. So very quickly, just to give you a sense of actually brief introduction, Metro actually we entered into the market in 2003, and we have 31 stores currently in India, and we operate actually in 11 states and in 21 cities. So one good aspect actually, because it's a connect for food safety, all of our stores actually are food safety certified. Now, food safety certification is actually that we have a concept called HACCP for people that who are coming from tech side. So HACCP is a food safety management system. So where actually 100% actually of the articles, before you sell it to consumer, all the preventive action actually has to be taken. There's a lot of history about HACCP, I will not get into detail. Maybe we'll have a separate session for that. Sarika and Ramesh can actually host it. And then actually we are also the first wholesaler to be certified for HACCP because the concept as such actually earlier was more to do with manufacturing, but the retail side actually was not that big of a concept. But we were a B2B and then actually hence we thought HACCP actually will be relevant for us because we also handle cash flow. So that's how actually we got into the concept about food safety. And we always sell to a customer, we don't sell to a consumer. And customer actually is here, the Horeca's, traders or service companies officers. Horeca is basically hotels, restaurants and catering. And we have actually 10 stores now, also actually going to the Global Food Safety Initiative, what we call it as GFSI certification. So we have actually FSSC certified stores now. We are also making almost all the stores certified, but we are taking it in phases. So the first 10 stores now actually of our metro are certified for FSSC. Now we have also been awarded for the National Food Safety Award. This is also done by CIA, Corporate Officer Industry. And we have won for the last 7 times. But of course, we did not participate during this COVID because it was more of a, not a physical one, it was a virtual. So hence we decided not to participate for the last couple of years. But actually we will take it through from this year onwards. And we have also, I think just to make sure, I've also brought in some tech side of it, what we have as a QA digital solutions. So we have some solutions, but as Ramesh said, it's at actually very grassroots level. It's a very, very basic one. Not that actually that we have solutions for everything. And we are not an online company, so hence I think it's a brick and mortar. We have actually limited solutions actually as of now. So basically, I also want to give you an introduction that we are just not fresh food, we are not just food, but we also sell non-food. So basically, we have a share of around 85% actually where we sell as food articles. This can be FMCG, this can be fresh food, this can be grocery. Fresh food actually, of course, since the connect is today more about fresh food, and also highlighted actually what we sell as fresh food. So basically, it contains fresh meat and fish, which is chilled meat, fish. Fruits and vegetables, so that's actually also one of the big segment for us. Dairy, frozen and bakery. I think all of this is actually quite familiar for all of you. Not into the detail. So that's our main assortment, what we sell actually as fresh.
I think two of the outlets do have bakeries as well, right?
Bakeries,
In-house bakeries.
yes. That's it. In-house bakeries is something which we started post-COVID and it's running successfully. So some challenges, actually this is generic, not alone to Metro. But how we actually have this. Till date, I think as Ramesh said, it's a very primitive stage, all of us. Now F&B, although we actually have a lot of textile acquisition happening in India, but the market is still highly unorganized because we can actually buy it from market, we can buy it from Telawala, we can go anywhere and they actually still buy this article. But are these actually safe? So it's a big question. So I call F&B actually as a completely unorganized sector, although we are there actually in the organized space, but very limited. The percentage is actually very, very small. And poultry is actually highly organized. That's the only sector actually what I find in fresh side, which is more organized, but at the same time, just 6% actually of it contributes to the processing sector. Now, I think you can see the 94% actually which we have, we still actually manage with all local shops, what we end up buying. And mutton is actually 100% unorganized because we have to go to the government slaughterhouses packet where we need to buy. So I'm also trying that not testing you that I should not buy meat from tomorrow, but this is completely unorganized again. And the fish actually is completely unorganized again because we have to buy it from agents, consolidators. There's no actually organized supply chain. Few people actually have come up now, but it's completely not in the right way it's happening. Dairy, frozen and bakery, yeah, this is the sector which is actually more organized. Like as you see, now dairy units actually have grown up and also we are battling between number 1 to number 2 position, always with US. So dairy is actually more organized and there's a lot of exports which happens there. And but again, we have a very constant supply chain challenges there on the temperature controls or whatever it might be. So that actually again is unanswered. I'll also slightly dwell into actually how this entire supply chain happens, but this is very generic again for the sector. So normally F&B is actually from the farmer, it comes to the agents or consolidators, and then it moves to the wholesaler. Wholesaler is like us or to the market, the market. And then actually it moves to the customer, that is Horeca, or to the any retailer. And then finally it reaches the consumer. So this is a normal chain actually for F&B. But how it operates in Metro is actually we also end up buying actually with agents and consolidators. But we have our own collection centers and platforms where we actually farmer gets it to the platform and then actually it moves into the Metro store or to the wholesale market and then actually to the customers. We also sometimes actually end up buying directly from the farmer and then actually it moves to the store and to the customer. Also we end up buying, for example, a tier 2 city like Vizag, Indore, Nasik, which is not completely in terms of organized, we end up buying it actually also from the wholesale markets and then actually it comes to the store and to the customer. So there's a lot of unorganized with organized kind of an actual operation. Now as far as chicken supply chain is concerned, I told you already that it is kind of organized, but we also actually have this process flow, poultry farm to the processing plant, then to the wholesaler or the retailer, that's us, and then it moves to the customer. Also poultry farm actually to the trader, normally how it happens generally, and then to the local shops, and then it moves to the customer. But we operate in that sector actually where poultry farm is there, processing plant, wholesaler, and then to the customer. This is more organized in terms of actually the operation. Mutton supply chain is actually, as I said to you earlier, it is completely unorganized. We have to rely on government storehouses for procuring our carcass, and then it moves to the wholesaler and then to the customer. Very limited processing plants are there. We are trying to work with some of the organized processing plants, but however, the limitation is that they are not available everywhere. And currently we have it in Bangalore, Maharashtra, and then I think 2 places in Madhya Pradesh. And the fish, as I said to you, we have to depend on options of dealers, and then actually it comes to the wholesaler, and then it moves to the customers. The another actually operation is also through the local shops. DFB is the only one actually, which is dairy, frozen and bakery again for all of you. This is the terminology which we use in Metro, but dairy, frozen and bakery is the most organized. Normally we end up buying from the manufacturer directly to the customer because we also operate with the cooperatives like Amul, Nandini, and then we go to Tamil Nadu. So all these cooperatives are operating. But if it's a very small scale, then actually we also buy from distributors. Some actually activities which are. So some actually pictures for you. I think it's quite familiar for all of you actually how the market operates. We are also trying to show actually how it will be in an organized sector. We use crates, temperature controls, all these things actually. So just a comparison for you between an organized versus unorganized. But I will try and then tell you what's the main difference actually in terms of overall operation. So that's something which I'm telling in the next part of it. Again, some more pictures for you on the meat side. That's the fish operations actually in the market versus actually how we operate. So we take care of actually the complete cold chain. So this actually is, I try to summarize some aspects actually what we have learned together. Now so far actually whenever we deal with an organized retail, one big factor actually for us is availability. Now I think we were just discussing actually 2 minutes back on if a customer actually tries to order something and then if it's not available, the customer dissonance is very, very high. Because I think these kinds of things actually will not be expected from the customer, but customer relies actually on a brand, and if it's not available, then there is a highest amount of disappointment. So in fresh food especially, like meat, fish, fruits and vegetables, one of the big aspects actually is availability. And on time in full, actually what we call it in retail, is every time a customer orders, actually has to go in full. That's still a big area of challenge for any retailer, be it online or offline. One actually big aspect actually when we are not able to contribute to the customer's satisfaction is every time we send it full. Now, supply chain challenges, as I said to you, temperatures, fresh food actually majorly takes care of actually temperature challenges. Again, I mean, in these things, right kind of actually environment should be given, packaging, and also the right kind of material. If it's not fresh, then actually you cannot sell it. So supply chain challenges are very big. Temperature sensitive product management at stores. So for example, I showed you the pictures what was available earlier. Now in the market, while it looks fresh, but actually they don't maintain temperature and everything. But we try to maintain all these things actually in the store, which you can also visualize once we go down to the store. And desired quality specification, when I say that I see, especially when it is to the HoReCa, whether it's hotel, restaurants and catering, one big aspect is if it's not as per the right cut or specification, we also end up actually having rejections. So desired quality specification is also one of the important factors what we actually face as a challenge today. And that may be because of the skilled manpower or what to do with actually the right kind of meat, right kind of food and vegetable actually not being available. So this is actually one of the big challenges for us. Traceability, end-to-end, as actually Ramesh was speaking. Today, when we go to a farm or actually to any of these kinds of organized sector, we cannot track it right from the source till the customer end. So this is a kind of, so especially for the techies who are listening to us today, this is a big area of opportunity where we can actually cash in on and work together, because this will also build a lot of food safety aspects within the supply chain. So I think that aspect is, Metro is trying to do something globally, but in the local operations, since we have many challenges, we have the sector being highly unorganized, we are not able to completely crack this. Then of course food safety. This is an area I think which is completely lapsed. I think none of us, when we go to the market, when we buy a tomato or an onion, we ask actually for the vendor that actually is it completely tested. I don't think so. And it's not possible today because so much of actually assortment is available. We end up actually just buying it from the market, cooking it, because I think one safety factor actually for all of us as Indians is we end up actually taking it to very high temperatures or put a lot of spices so that it gets protected. I think that's the only savior today. But otherwise, I think if you look back, food safety aspects as far as microbial, pesticide and heavy metals are concerned, none of these gets tested. And compliance to regulatory requirements, yeah, there is actually an FSSAI which is actually framed a lot of standards for fresh food now, food and vegetable, meat, fish. But we need to see actually how effectively it is taken actually and what challenges we have as an India sector. A skilled manpower, this is again a very, very big thing, because when you go to a butchery operation, if a butcher is not giving you a right cut or actually anybody who is not doing it rightly, then you have your own customers actually HoReCa who can actually reject it and send it back. And availability of this skilled manpower in the market is very limited today. So this again actually one of the big challenges for an offline retail sector. And rejection and shrinkage, these are actually hand in hand because rejection also is like this customer complaint. When we end up having a fresh food customer complaint, especially meat, fish, foods and vegetables, we get these as back and then that has to be done. So this we are going to high shrinkage and also a lot of business losses there. And the last but not the least, lack of IT solutions. Because this is where actually we need to integrate, learn together as actually a community on how we can get these things addressed in this forum. Yeah, I mean like exactly the ones actually what you saw as challenges for the retail sector. We have tried to map it together in terms of actually what Metro does. So we have actually exactly the reverse scenario. Although we have not been able to address completely the end-to-end in fresh food, but yeah, we have registered suppliers for things, so we know exactly how to track them. We do an actually, so we as a community, so my team is there today from Metro, and then actually work there actually as experts, like Vinod is handling the complete meat and fish sector, Selva is handling the fruits and vegetables. So we have an individual experts who can handle these things right from the source till the last. So vendor audits are done by them, so we have a check every time actually we go back what kind of material is being sent, and then so that the consumers or customers are actually feeling safe about it. Then the standardized processes, because actually we also end up having this entire supply chain, what I told you, then actually temperature controls or what to do with process of how to handle these products in the store. That's been addressed there. Quality checks actually have been there. We said about food safety, microbial, heavy metals and all these things. So product testing and then actually the checks which are happening. Because we have a dedicated quality assurance resource in every store, all the 31 stores. So he or she will be responsible, and then our high focus is actually towards the fresh food, because food serviceable meat feed, and that's the dedicated actually, and all of them actually are food tech grads. So these people actually dedicate their entire actually day of operation for actually taking care of fresh food. And the proper cold chain management, I think you can also visualize when we go down to the store, actually, how these are maintained within the store ambience. And temperature monitoring, traceability. Traceability, I would say actually that we have been quite effective in terms of doing it at the store level. But when you track it back actually of the individual bits about source to store to customer, I think still this is an area which is completely open. We have not been able to completely address this entire supply chain. But only in store, for example, when we get a meat from an XYZ supplier, how these are labeled, and then actually when it's going to the customer, can I track it? If there is a complaint tomorrow or any challenges what we face, can I track it back? Yes, that system is effectively maintained. Then of course you can see actually that we have a dedicated rooms meant for meat. They're dedicated within that actually dedicated rooms meant for chicken roasting, mutton roasting, storage, all this. So just to avoid any kind of cross contamination, doesn't get mixed. Our fruits and vegetables actually has a separate area, fish has a separate area. So this is one of the big actually aspects in the retail sector, what we are actually trying to address this. And of course we have a regular training program for our people, monitoring through external testing, as I said to you. Already addresses all our stores are actually food safety certified. So which actually makes it another big aspect for any customer to walk in and they'll buy from us. And as I said to you, committed food safety professionals in every store. And one important thing is we comply to all the regulatory requirements, whatever has been laid down today by FSSA or any of the legal metrology team. So we comply to that. We are not actually want to make any non-compliance with this. But again, I think one good aspect of food actually why you need to buy from an organized sector is that we ensure that actually all these food safety aspects are covered. So I think this is the heart of this meeting or conference or seminar, whatever I can call. So some IT solutions actually what we actually as together have adapted is, one big thing is a QC HACCP tool. Since we are actually an HACCP certified store, we have actually tried to build in QC HACCP. So what it does, I will not get into the full details because the working is totally, it takes a lot of time to actually explain. QC HACCP is that it actually encourages us to maintain, for example, if there is a food safety professional at the store, if she has to check the temperatures, the tool actually enables her to check this and then tick it on every day. And if there is a cleanliness check, which has to happen on, actually say for example, the floors or anything, this actually tool enables. So he or she actually has to just go with this checklist, they have to just tick the box. If it's above 4 degrees centigrade, then he or she will say actually that it is non-compliant, and then actually the posting will stop until it gets rectified. So that's the kind of measure what actually QC has a tool does. But the only the limitation in this tool is everything actually has to be manually controlled. He or she actually will go check, but actually it has to be informed manually. It is not integrated to the full system. So that actually is something which is under development, or I think we as a community can also discuss how we can actually bring up such kind of a solution. Manufacturing, more or less, I see that it is still happening in a way, because if you have 4 degrees and above, if you want to just switch off the entire thing, it's still a possibility because it gets integrated. But in the retail sector, it is quite difficult because there is a continual movement of actually goods. And end quality is something which we have built it for our own private label. So this is a specification management, it's kind of a database as far as end quality. And this actually tool enables us to actually have the audit reports maintained. You have actually the complete specification of the product. If you have a bread or a butter, whatever it might be, you actually can see the specification. One good aspect, of course, now actually we are Reliance, but globally we were earlier with Germany. We were operating in 25 countries. If a specification of any spices was available here, so Metro Germany could actually take a look at it, oh, okay, XYZ spices is available and this is specification. So can they import it to those countries? Was actually easy access, what it used to have. But still actually it's beneficial for us because we are also, like as India, we are humongous actually, almost actually like a new continent. And so between the states, like for example, Delhi wants to operate a spice from Karnataka, they can easily look at the specifications. So this it can still happen with Indian operation. That's one of the good tools. Then iQuestion software, this we majorly use it for the sensory evaluation. So it's like a basic checklist. So random people actually will be there. All of us, if we go to the, so it has actually a 5 questionnaire, and it has a points also, 5-point scale. Now if the flavor is good or actually texture is good, so you can rate it. So we have many sensory evaluation activities which is conducted, and that's actually been operated within a software called as iQuestion. And Q audit tool, because we are all from quality, so we end up doing a lot of quality audits. And this is something which is always actually a variable thing. So for example, if I want to do an audit versus actually an XYZ person, there will always be a variation in the way he or she looks at it. So this tool enables us actually to have a standard checklist, and which is inbuilt. We go there, it also actually has less time actually to coverage. The checklist actually, if it's running 240 or 250 points, all these things can be tweaked very easily. Also the database actually is a cloud-based system. So it goes and sits in the cloud. And we actually have all our audits today, supplier audits, or store audit, conducted using this tool. So it standardizes with actually XYZ auditors. Medallia is an actually international one, Net Promoter Score. NPS is actually being used by many of the organizations now, international organizations. We also use a tool called as Medallia and Net Promoter Score. This is basically on customer satisfaction. We end up doing a survey with all the customers, and then actually on a 10-point scale. And if he or she is not satisfied, they can actually directly rate us, and the feedback comes to us, especially on quality, customer experience, or anything. Traceability, yeah, it's a very robust system in EU, but in India we are trying to figure out, because the sector challenges are already addressed on our unorganized activities or currently in handling the fresh food. But with EU, we have a robust handling. I will try and show you how this Metro F-Trace operates actually in the international way. It's still a time-consuming one, because I think as a tech community here today, all of us are here. You can also put in your brain that actually can we bring out such kind of a mechanism here in terms of handling the fresh food.
Excuse me, these tools have been built in-house by Metro?
No, this is actually all globally done, but actually very primitive ones. It's all web-based portals, and we can easily adopt this. But the entire actually technical know-how is with Metro Germany for all the tools. But for building
they work on an app.
they work on an app.
Is these tools are operated through mobile phones or require any system or like laptop?
Laptop actually is more or less a generic one, but in some of the tools actually it's still possible with the mobile phone. For example, I explained to you about the sensory evaluation. That's possible through an actual app as well. And the Q audit tool, actually currently it's with the laptop. See, it's also not very convenient for you if you use a mobile phone to operate a checklist, because you cannot visualize it. So it's all actually a web-based portal currently operating in, some are in app, some are in web-based. But it's easy to develop. I think what we have found out actually so far, I think it's not that kind of a difficulty, but we were completely manual a few years back. Thanks to COVID, everything got digital, because I think it's also about the time, the ease of operation, all these things actually have been put in place, and then hence this tool development has happened. Otherwise, we were all on Excel or actually with mails exchanges, which was actually very time consuming. For example, even actually an audit tool, I would like to explain to you that when I do an audit, or actually an XYZ is asked in Delhi to do an audit, there's a lot of differences actually the way he or she sees this. This actually has enabled us to go through this entire thing actually on the audit tool. Second most important thing is it also has a time actually which gives to the auditee. That for example, if he or she has to come back within 15 days with a corrective action plan, this tool enables us to send us an alert to them, saying that actually your corrective action is still pending, and you actually upload it. So these are kinds of some of the quick wins actually what we can get out of these ID tools. Yeah, so traceability. So this is one actually which is operated with Metro AG. Even I am not quite familiar with this entire system, but this is something actually which we have got trained on. We wanted to implement in India, but just because the sector is very unorganized today, in all these things, it doesn't work. So it's a very simple system actually. So F-Trace and Metro Fire, what you're seeing is actually a cloud-based system. This is through an app. And so if there is a producer, so this has been actually done for fish industry. And if there is a producer, actually he or she with the G team can upload all the information to the cloud. And similarly, the processor, who is the next stage, can also upload the same system to the. So Metro Fire actually is a metro system. Similarly, when it comes to Metro Store, all the information can be. So whatever you see as yellow lines here, or actually blue lines, is actually all the information actually which is shared back to the cloud and received back from them. And so if you want to scan particular thing, which you can, I will show you the video as well. If you scan this particular GTN, how actually the source can be revealed. So that actually operation is quite interesting for us to, implement here. Now, how does it look like? This is an app-based system, as I said, it has got product info, catching methodology. So they have gone back right to the source. So if you have an ocean or a sea, now actually from where you have got this, is also an extra information which is there, and also the species. Because there are a lot of things that which they work on. If there is a particular variety of species, then you are not supposed to catch them, because it also comes with the wild catch. So hence these species are very important for the fish industry. Can we show the video? Yeah, very quickly actually on the video on how it operates.
When you buy a fish, you want to know where it comes from and what quality it has. And you want it as fresh as possible. To achieve this, everything must be done correctly from the very beginning. This places huge demands on processors to ensure correct identification and labeling. The label specifies information like date, quality, and origin of fish. Global standards from GS1 are used for identification. The box with its content is identified with an SSCC and a GTIN. And the pallet is identified with an SSCC. In addition, GLN is used for identifying where the fish comes from, where it is shipped, and where it is sold. By using GS1 standards, the salmon can be traced through the entire supply chain, all the way to the consumer.
So this is a very robust system actually which is operating in the international arena. But we have not been able to do it just because the supply chain has many challenges. And if we integrate actually on one as well, it has actually other loopholes. But we want to build it. We have constantly been trying it from last 2 years. But unfortunately, because the sourcing is not so robust, we have not been able to build it. But for an imported market, yes, it's possible. So just to summarize, I'm on the last slide now. Food safety is everyone's responsibility. I think we all actually, as a consumer, everyone actually has this responsibility to think about it. So this, forum is also an opportunity for all of us to think where we can actually think, because for everybody's need, food is essential. So food safety also goes hand in hand, and then I think as a community, while we see actually we give a lot of importance to iPhone, I think the same importance actually has to be given to food as well. So this community actually has to build that. So I think I've also shown you some challenges actually what is there in the market, but I think as a company, we as Metro, while we face many challenges here, we have tried to bring in some solutions. I would say I think these were all actually at a very, very primitive level. But again, we can move forward actually keeping these tools, some of the tools actually what I said. But there is a humongous opportunity for all of us to build very robust tools in all these mechanisms. Because I think it will safeguard the interest of consumers, what we are actually today. When we go to a hotel or to a restaurant, if you think about actually where the meat has come, so you will end up not eating a meat. But I think instead of that, I think should enable people to feel safe and then actually consume meat in a safe way. Now, as I said to you, I think Metro ensures the quality in every step from sourcing, receiving, storage, sales, and delivery. Challenges are there, but which you can always discuss, especially in a fresh food kind of an atmosphere. And customer delight actually is one of our major things. So if customer is not satisfied, he or she does not end up coming in. Even if we have so we are actually monitoring through an NPS tool now, Net Promoter Score. And if the tool actually bounces off any kind of a complaint, even if it's the smallest one, that your potato was actually a different shape. So we try to address that. Although we know that actually it's an agricultural product coming from actual nature, but that's actually as close to this. And we would like to keep it for a very high score. Today actually we have a proudly stability for Metro. These are 86.6. Never have score for any of the metro countries what we are operating. Because the consumer here is actually quite different. Customer expectation is different. When you look at a market versus metro, the customer expectations are actually quite different in terms of operations.
But is it because a lot of consumers or the customers don't complain?
No, this actually also has a survey which is a minimum number. If you don't end up actually tracking minimum numbers, then it will not show up the results. But no, I think just to answer in a different way, customers in the market don't complain, but customers with metro complain, that they give the feedback. But when they come and then see the metro versus a wholesale operation, what it is, we are far higher. So hence I think the scores, actually the satisfaction levels are quite high. But when you build a competition, for example a B2B, today for actually APMC market or any wholesale market or a mandi, for example, if it becomes actually super 5-star class, then I have a competition. But today we are actually sitting in a very high position, being a very organized retail. But of course we do spend a lot of, I and my team especially spend a lot of time actually on the technical work, where actually food safety is of paramount importance. As I said,
Excuse me, this NPS, what is the sample size?
normally I think for quality and stability, last month we ended up actually having close to around 3,500. But for every survey which goes out of the store, so this I am talking about all 31 stores. But when it goes outside actually to this thing, the NPS tool itself will have minimum numbers. Now another this thing actually disadvantage of this tool is if you have minimal numbers what is being captured, the scores gets lower. So hence actually the minimum numbers have to be maintained. Sometimes I see like for example F&B was lowest, all-time lowest. It was actually at some 35. While our all India scores actually for everything is at 86, the F&B was at 35. But it slowly started to build it because we started to focus more on what are the actual challenges which customers are facing. Feedbacks actually were taken. Normally it comes out that your fruits and vegetable is not good on shelf. Now how do we address this? It's a very generic. So we end up calling the customer. What was not good last time when you came in? Yeah, this was not fresh. So then he understands more. Then we try to actually act on that particular thing. So the feedbacks actually are with minimal numbers. It varies month on month. The numbers actually vary. Sometimes actually the peak festive season, like Diwali or actually what we are now coming up with Dasara and October, November, it can peak up even to 5,000, 10,000 also. Because the walk-ins will be more. So hence there is an opportunity for people to interact there. Yeah, so this is a bit about actually what we are doing. I don't know about actually how we can synchronize all together, but I was just thinking what could be presented to this community because this is also something new to me. But I think as you all saw now, the immense amount of opportunity what we all brought together. As Ramesh said, this is our first meeting, so not many numbers are there here, but I don't know about online. Definitely there is a lot of opportunity, especially from if it is a non-food side, especially for you, to think about and then what we can build on. We have something we need to hope for the society that all of us have to come together. Food safety becomes actually paramount important. So thank you very much. Any queries, anything actually please.
I think it's not just food safety, it's also wastage, right?
Yeah.
In turn, we end up wasting a lot of food, which can feed one way.
True. Absolutely. I think that's one of the aspects what I covered, rejection and shrinkage.
Right.
We can actually see it on shelf, how much of actually dump goes in. And that's something actually, I would always call it as criminal to waste food. So it's not good to waste food.
One question I have, because I know metro deals with volumes and overall the volumes that you deal with, how do you manage the efficiency to get it like on the shelf on time, or to the consumer on time? You're taking care of so many things that they happen. And secondly, even when you're taking care of so much in the packet, how do you get the same price that you get it out? Because I think India is a very price sensitive market. So two things they really worry about is the price and the availability. So I think both things when you're dealing with volumes and trying to ensure in the packet and everything is.
Yeah, so I'll split it into two. The first query, we have a very efficient system, I should say. I think the metro system from, so this started in 1964, way back in Germany. And when they conceptualized the idea, it was just a buy and sell. It's a box, right? Basically a blue box which is sitting here. And we buy from manufacturer and then sell. I think for a period of time, actually, what they realized is actually how to handle this bulk of this commodity. Now we have actually supply chain. For example, if you want to plan for Christmas, now there is already a planning which is going on. So we are in September, there is already a planning which goes for actually. I think this has been actually from day one. I think Giri has been part of the system. He was for procurement. This is basically a question for procurement, but I can ask you to answer it because I am pretty better in metro system. One actually is, there is a lot of planning which happens, and we are already sitting, for example, Diwali planning was done in June. So, I mean, like, you must not even be thinking about Diwali is then in October, November, and then actually we are already planning for June. So, I think the activity system, what has enabled this entire metro system to operate efficiently is the good planning, backed up with actually some good IT operations at the back end. Now, this actually is also a research and work which has happened in Germany, and we are sitting actually in a very comfortable position using that system. Today also, when we have actually got sold to Reliance, I think one appreciable factor about Metro is the systems is something actually which they are trying to imbibe, or processes. So that's how actually efficient it is. If I want to, I need to show you some how the POs get generated actually, way we have in the schedule to the supplier. The supplier actually has to get ready. Now, for example, if I have to manufacture, just an example, is soul papdi for Diwali, which is actually a very common food actually, or a sweet which is given to anybody, right, during that time. Now, soul papdi is actually something which we plan it in June, and then the POs get released to that supplier sometime in actually August. But yeah, people will be hardly thinking about Diwali then, or actually Dussehra then. So that's how actually efficient the system has become in terms of volume handling. Now your second query is I just missed it.
No, the pricing.
Pricing again. I mean, like, so most of it actually in the supply chain we work with manufacturers. I think that's principally where I think you can cut down on all the middlemen, right? And the prices become more efficient. Second, actually, is of course the volume. If you are giving 100 pieces versus 1,000 pieces, actually you have got a better negotiation power. And I think Metro has been enjoying these B2B operations for quite some time. And the volumes actually speaks a lot about actually the pricing sensitivity. So wherever you have actually challenges on actually when we end up relying on an agent or a consolidator or a middleman, there actually absolutely it's actually very difficult. Fresh food, definitely I agree that it's a big challenge today as well. And fresh food, I think, in more or less, since we have our own backend, as you saw in the supply chain, we primarily want to go back to a farmer or a consolidator where we can have our own platform. Buying is more efficient there. If you end up actually going to a consolidator, it's always actually. Also, in a consolidator or the agent, we try and work with a big consolidator. Like, for example, he or she can actually group around 100 vegetables or 10 vegetables or 15 vegetables, actually will have that price differential. So price sensitivity actually more comes from that. But yeah, it's like a share market in fresh food, right? Because it's daily fluctuation. Backend integration is the only answer there. We have some, I would not say 100%, but still I think our prices are far better than the market. In terms of wholesale market, the comparison only to the B2B. I don't know whether I answered.
No.
Any other?
So do you have continuous monitoring for example, the temperature you mentioned, right? Someone goes in and has a checklist So that do you have like a continuous monitoring system or something like that?
We do have a continuous monitoring system, which is a data logger is there, which actually is lost centrally controlled now. We use a system called as Zenatex, right, in terms of actually monitoring data. Apart from these things, we don't completely rely on that.
So initially, what's the name of the system you're using? Data monitoring.
Zenatex.
Zenatech.
Zenatech.
So that's one. Second, I think just to ensure that I think this manual operation does not get into the complete dependency, we do have actually regular checks done by my quality team on the shop floor. Plus, department people also continuously check it. And plus, there are data logs on the display units at which are maintaining. Sometimes actually it also ends up having a faulty defect, but we have a manual check, which is very regular. That we have different frequencies also, which we can showcase to you in the so, but yeah, that was actually a big challenge 2 years back. But now we are kind of integrated that system and then we are tracking it through the central office. Any other things? So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Srini. So, I'm sure a lot of things, a lot of terminology. I see that I think last 2-3 years has significantly digitized quite, has pushed as in, we've seen it ourselves also. Right? We do a lot of trainings and earlier if I go to a food company and tell them I will do online trainings, they are like, no, it is not happening. You have to come to my factory, stand in front of people and do training. But now we actually run a fairly robust training calendar that happens very regularly. So I think it has enabled people to become digitally aware. So how to handle digital data, how to handle, the fear is also gone. I think there's a lot of fear when it comes to digitization. There's a lot of fear among people, especially traditional industries, about my data will get stolen. On the contrary, it is probably harder for your digital data to get stolen if you manage it well than your physical data. Or it is equally probable. Somebody can still take a picture in the right checklist here and then the picture can be taken and somebody can take it. So it's no different from any other thing, but I'm sure we are learning and adopting, so I'm sure as we keep proceeding, we'll do better. Thank you for the insight, for all the tools and chains that we use at Metro, sharing that information. I'm sure it gives a lot of insights into how things are being done. Next up, so we'd like to invite Google to talk about QZense, the device, what it does in the F&B, and so that's an example of some technology that's available in Indian market and it's developed all here. So it will be interesting to see what.
So I haven't prepared any PPT. I thought it's better to interact. So we'll start with, to introduce, I'm Mubijit. I'm the co-founder and CEO of QZense Lab. Shrishti, the CTO, has also joined. And both of us started this company around 4 years ago in 2019. And briefly giving the background, I am from an core electronics background, sensor based work. I have worked in IoT industry, worked in Havells for around 2 years. Before that, worked with a couple of startups in IoT, have handled manufacturing of IoT products in China as well as globally, and manufacturing at scale. Understand how a new technology product is developed, including some innovative products like smart bulbs, smart locks. So extensive experience in that, and I met Shrishti in a program, and she brings her computational biology background. She holds a PhD in olfaction, that's the sense of smell, and has extensively studied biochemistry, understands how a food degrades, its chemical processes involved in that. And that's what her knowledge, especially working on sense of smell, which is very critical factor. So as when we studied IoT, we knew that most of our senses are digitized, right? Like visually through camera, audio, or with the microphones and the sensing. And similarly, the sense of smell has not been digitized because it's kind of a complex process. It involves understanding the chemicals that are being present in the food. So that's what we are working on as a technology, apart from multiple other technologies. But in terms of how we started this company, the intent was to solve a large problem with technology. And we know that most of the things we see, for example, as simple as booking a cab to ordering your favorite food, you use technology. Technology is everywhere apart from how the food is reaching your table. Like the least amount of technology used would be in the food industry compared to any other simple things like booking a maid, getting a haircut done. All these things are very tech driven now. The food is very complex. And I'll share what we have learned in these 4 years about the technological challenges for startups. So I bring the experience of a startup's journey in solving such a problem, right? So when we started this company, we were focusing a lot on tech, as we were discussing earlier also. That's a big mistake. We should first focus on the problems and problems that are big enough, that is critical for the customer. So that's something to be focused on when a startup starts a journey and evaluate it in terms of the monetary value for them first, and for you to solve it, how much of that can make a business value for you. And that's something we learned in our journey, that there could be 10 problems, from a chili having a problem to a maybe dhania having a problem, and to a apple having a problem to a avocado having a problem. You have to also look at the value of the product and commodity, and also what is the scale of that commodity, right? Because volume and value, both things have to be considered for a startup who's going to solve. Because otherwise you may get into solving that problem, which is anyway technically difficult. You may not make out a good business out of it, right? And when we started, we took fruits because we saw a huge high value commodity and at a high scale. We knew that we will be focusing on high value fruits, and which includes apples, mangoes, pomegranates. These are the fruits which are high quality and high value, and also sold at high scale, right? And the challenge here is to solve such a problem is that each food commodity has its own life cycle. So an apple is different from a mango is different from an orange even an orange is different from a Mosambi. Even one variety of orange is different from the other variety. So that's the challenge why a lab technology, something that is solved in lab, is not getting easily adopted. At more than a dozen startups working in India itself on such a problem, this is not reaching the industry. It's because there's so many problems, so many challenges. Even a mango will not have one problem. It has a bricks problem, it has a sugar content problem, it has a spoilage problem, internal rotting problem. There will be multiple problems. The crunchiness or the crispiness of apples, the browning of apples, the bricks of apples. So it's not one problem that has to be dealt with. So technology will take its time to develop, and that's why it's very important for startups to focus on high value, business-wise high value problems, right? And that's why we focused on fruits. One mistake we did initially was that we worked a lot with startups as a client. So that is, I would suggest against it for startups, because there might be a easy entry to startups because they are willing to adopt technologies, but they are not always calculating the business value. And now we strictly focus on all the paid models and focusing on businesses which are themselves profitable, because then they calculate, if they adopt technology, how much of that will be used from the profits to adopt such a technology. Those calculations are done before paying you, right? And that's very important to build a sustainable business in this industry. So I would say those startups help, I think, because initial adoptions comes from startups, but you have to take it with a grain of salt that till what development stage it can be done, and when you start talking about the business, right? So that's very important. That's one major learning for us, that work with startups, work with big businesses, but make sure with startups you will get faster results, but may not be a big business from there. It might be just a quick thing they want to test out. While a business may take longer, much longer than a startup. But there they are thinking very seriously about to adopt this technology actually. So that's something we learned, and that's what we use this knowledge to now focus on our business development. Now, we'll talk about the product that we have built. So we have built actually multiple sensors and a whole ecosystem of solutions for fresh food management, which involves a dashboard which integrates all the sensors we have built. We are using spectroscopy for checking the internal constituents. So for example, a fruit has sugar content, water content, a lot of chemical constituents that can be measured using spectroscopy. So we have built a sensor which checks that, and it's connected to dashboard where you get the report of it. It's an inspection device, and now we are working on integrating into a conveyor system for a large-scale sorting rate. Similarly, we have built a gas-based sensor which is developed to focus on storage monitoring, like if you store fruits, vegetables, and now we are also working on seafood and meat. This is something again a very high-value commodity, and where a lot of wastage happens because of not knowing what is the current health of the food commodity, what's the shelf life. So these are the sensors, and we combine it on our AI system and a dashboard which presents the reports to the customers, which are mainly sellers of fresh food. We largely focus on exporters and also large retailers. These are the two segments which we focus on. The challenges we learned in terms of adoption was, one main challenge is technology is very new to such, at least at the warehouse level, it's very tough. It's very tough for the laborers to understand, to adopt, and they would be reluctant. So for us, that was very important that we made it very user-friendly, and I think that's a lesson for all the startups in the industry, that focus on making a very user-friendly solutions which does not have too many steps. In fact, I have to always fight with the tech team on like reduce the complexity of like how much the person has to do, and we always have to focus on reducing the number of steps they have to take, because for them it's not very easy. It might be very easy for me to connect to Wi-Fi. It might not be very easy for a warehouse person to connect to multiple Wi-Fis and check which network is coming, why it's not working. So those are the things that again for a technology startup who's working in a traditional clients, for traditional clients, then that's very important that the technology usability is very easy for them to use. So, in terms of where the wastage happens, we all know like globally more than $1 trillion of food wasted annually, and India may be around $10 to $14 billion annually. Now, this is huge amount of wastage. But where are the points where it can be improved with technology? Our understanding of the supply chain, we realize two places. One is definitely the sorting gradient case, where if you know the grades of food based on the shelf life, the sales of those commodities can be managed in terms of which ones to sell for. So especially like for example, now we're working with a client in fish, and for them we're working on this, that predicting the shelf life of fishes so that they're able to manage their inventory based on the how much shelf life each fish has, like how much fresh it is and how much shelf life it has, and that's how they can manage their inventory. That's one. And then second one is more complex, and most of the wastage happens there is during storage. So storage monitoring is a very, very critical part. I think one of that is already adopted by many companies in terms of temperature monitoring. Even then, there are a lot of glitches there, but still, at least the technology exists. We believe not just temperature, we need to monitor more parameters also. Like for fruits, if we measure ethylene constantly, other gaseous compounds, volatile organic compounds, that can give a very accurate assessment and alerts whenever there is any spoilage happening. In fact, we filed a patent on that as well, which we got granted, on how efficiently sensors can be used, combination of sensors to improve the storage monitoring. Right? And these are the two places where we feel if technology is adopted clearly and accurately, it can really improve the operations. What we believe is for the future, I'll say for any startup, the focus should be focusing on one problem statement and a large problem statement, and focusing on that to solving it throughout. Instead of, for example, for us, there were too many problem statements when we started that we solved the fresh food quality problem. But now we have narrowed it down to three focus areas where we work, and we evaluate any new problem statement very critically. That should we take it up, and because there are many problems existing already, and it's very important to focus on the problems that make sense, right? And for any startup, our suggestion or our learning is anyone who's entering this industry is to focus on one single problem, solve it. For us now, it's fruits as well as seafood. Again, we focus more on seafood because we realize there the wastage is comparative, the perishability is much higher, and the value lost is much higher, and very less solutions exist comparatively to fruits. So that's something we 70% of focus is on the seafood segment, especially the exports, and that we feel is an important area where technology can really help. So I think that's it. We can take questions.
Do you have a dashboard or something you can
We can show. Shishti, do you have a video dashboard? I think I have.
It's on the internet or something?
Yeah, we can mail it, right?
No, if it's on the internet, you can log in.
No, it's internal because so most of our work happens at a client place. So there would be a demo at a client place, but that's on the drive. I might be able to share the link on mail. Just
I'm down to that one.
that might not work.
Because you would be logging in credentials. There might
But
be
it is
things
on the internet. It's a demo site on the internet.
No. We have our fruit demos online, but
it will be on our website.
on our website. But yeah, the things we are doing currently with clients is not a portable solution. It's a solution that's getting built in the client's site only. That we haven't put online, but we have our internal things. Yeah.
We do have a demo on our website, it might be there. But we can't actually, if you open the, we can't really pull up if you do the actual logins, it will be customers. So we can't do that.
But if we have images, I can just make him dashboard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that those could be done.
Or they could be shared with you.
Yeah.
Put it on the community.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see what the dashboard typically looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of parameters.
So for fish, it's majorly we predict the number of hours passed from the harvest time. So we're predicting that, and we compare it with the correct number of hours, and currently that's what the main thing is. Apart from that, some defects. Yeah, that major defects for these.
So when you do the triangle,
Yeah.
then you get harvest. What's your correct number of hours that is standard?
Hours is standard.
Standard.
So for us, there is no standard. Clients, so I think if for them also, for each commodity, they have a number of hours they need that bracket in which they want to source it. So we implement it. For our task is to predict correctly the number of hours. The standard is decided by the client itself, what number of hours they need as a procurement, if that is your question.
Is there any average time which you can tell for Bangalore?
For what?
From the harvest to the consumer.
From harvest to consumer, it depends on each commodity.
For fish.
For fish also, like for example, I think some of the fishes are harvested. I think Shishti is better understanding of that. So for maybe a mackerel which is sourced nearby, I think it would be faster and something that's going come.
Actually, it's standard, it's like if it is coming to distribution, it is 3 to 4 days, right? Not even 5 days, if you are in a small that's the, for most of the fishes that were, apart from some fishes that are very but in any case, if a pollution case, which is like I said, just 5 hours. It's just 5 hours to 8 hours, then you can't really do anything. So what we have noticed that all the fishes which are coming from coast, they have to come to the storage. If they are not coming to the storage, we actually already monitor the sea tanks.
Okay. So the technology doesn't do it.
Yeah, because as soon as you do a very basic check, it will be like, okay, you know that the system was broken for the last 12 hours.
This is binary, sure.
There we have both scenarios. We have a binary system currently which is being ready. for DSM quality. We are also putting up the second layer of shelf life management, which we have been working on. So we take our efforts to get it out. We have that also. That's working on. And there is also one more feature that we have been looking into is for that we are actually looking into getting the storage data. Because if our predictions will fail, if we predict 3 days but we don't store it for 3 days in cold room, then our predictions fail because 3 days is the optimal condition for 2 weeks or whatever is determined for that restaurant possibility. But we are also looking into if we are going to just do a room temperature scenario. We have seen that it is on like retail shelf and it's just sitting on the ice. That time you can't really like it's going to be 3 days or so because you have exposed some of the fishes already. So there is some specific advantage once it is on the shelf, 1 to 2 days. So for that we actually got more data on how they are stored. That's why we have 2 systems. We have one inspection system. The second one which we advocate a lot is the storage systems. Because I think the inspection systems will fail if the storage systems don't have get on.
So it's basically, if I understand very well, it's integrated temperature.
No, it's integrated to multiple sensors. Yeah, not just
one. We have touch, we have how it looks,
the pressure, the eye color,
those things, the coloration of the fish, the eye color, the gills, how fresh are the gills,
slime.
slack of the sand or not, because if you see some high value fishes which are like 10,000 to 15,000 fish, and if you just open their gills, they might be looking more you just open their gills, it's not fish. And then you, for anybody it doesn't touch, if you catch it early, then you can save that loss in the very first place. And also when you are using a lot of, actually also investing a lot of transportation and cost. And the user is exactly really high. By the time the user consumes, it will be so rotten that it will be visually visible to them. So we try to do all the checks at an early level. Our main thing is that before it reaches your customer, because once it has reached your customer, they will give us feedback. So we try to see that technology should be completed before it has reached your customer, so that you can get that feedback and you can act. You can take the correct actions.
Very nice. I agree with Ramesh. I think quite interesting tools you have. I think especially for the challenges what I explained, food and veg and fish. I think since the sourcing actually adds on to many of the problems what we have. It would be good to visualize for us if you show us a demo.
Sure.
Shishni, I have videos.
If you can just carry the equipment that you guys have, the handheld devices.
And though we can show that is the only
Saying
equipment.
that when we go for a no, if that's something really that can be done.
No, actually the thing is that we stopped making portable devices now, we're focusing on automation now, yeah. So that's why we don't do that, but yeah. We might have an app.
So one question that I had for you guys.
I was just want to ask an automation.
No, go ahead.
No, so you just mentioned earlier that you are working on automating conveyor systems, checking quality of conveyor systems.
Yeah.
Now, how are you predicting how the food material is going to be on the conveyor? Because generally it is very randomized. There can be multiple areas where there won't be any food, and there will be a lot where there's going to be a lot of piling.
Right.
So how can that be predicted, or how will DOS system help any of the retailers to predict which fruit to take out specifically or in a particular segment?
Yes. So this is an important thing. You're saying checking batch size instead of yeah.
Let's take a continuous
And one is also as an example here, say like in a conveyor, right? So generally you put a metal detector for example, right? And your product is going through and you find anything that's contamination of your metal. So what happens, a flap opens and the whole lot just drops down.
It will separately go.
It goes down, drops down, and then the flap gets closed and the rest of the process happens, right? So, but then there's a lot of wastage of biscuit or anything for that matter. But then out of that, there might be just one or two product, right, which is not as per the specifications.
Right.
But then I end up wasting more than like actually just wasting that one or getting a complaint just for the one.
Good question. So that's why it's not exactly that this is accept and reject. While we do sometimes accept, when we do accept and reject, the reject criteria are very like high, like very specific, and if those are totally not met, only then that gets rejected. But majorly what we believe is grading, right? So if those fishes can be graded into, or these foods can be graded into multiple lots, where you can then decide the price. It's not that you'll waste that, nobody wastes, they generally sell everything only. The only thing is that they will prefer selling a higher quality ones to like a better margin or a better, like if they are a B2B seller, they'll send it to a more elite client and maybe a bad ones to, or lesser good ones to maybe. And even what we believe, we even believe that this decision making can help them because we are not involved in that business decision, but how it should be used is if you have to ship something at a longer distance, send this one, and something to be sold locally, use a lower shelf life one, right? That's how it should be managed.
Yeah, that's true. But then what happens, like for me as a retailer, when I'm getting I get it in crates, I get it in containers and different things. I think a handheld is something you guys should not close it. If you guys
We haven't closed it, but we are not manufacturing it more because at a store level,
or as a QA person, right? I wouldn't wait for the whole product to be loaded on a conveyor. I would definitely like to go and do my sample size, pick up my samples and check it then and there when my vehicle is arriving. So that makes more sense.
Yes. So we haven't stopped selling or making the devices. The main thing is that we're not taking it up as a business. This can be a complementary solution to other solutions. We have to also calculate what will make. If we just sell that, the margin is low and the sales effort in sales is very high. So we can give it a complementary to our client. That's fine for us. Then to sell this device only, right? So that's the only thing. But we agree. In fact, the intent behind making a portable solution was that it can be carried anywhere.
So one thing you guys said, saying like when you look at the specification or the characteristics of the product that you guys have seen, right? The temperature is a critical factor, especially for your seafood and the meat industry. But then when you start checking on other parameters, so do you also have a system which is saying that hey guys, the shelf life of this product is just a day. So finish it within a day, or is it a 2 days, or who decides that? Right? One is that, and another one is you guys mentioned saying that there's a gas that you check, ethylene which is being generated. So what do you gas saying like, okay, the ethylene this has been produced and your product is no more, safe for the
So first one, the first one was about shelf life of the product we are predicting. Yeah, that we do. Like even if that's stored at, like for example, for one of the clients we did it for mangoes and banana, that you are able to predict how many days. Because for them, so for the customers also it boils down to they want to make a very accurate decision of their procurements. That's their main use case. Most of them believe that their internal operations and they don't want to change that, but here they see a direct value if their procurements are better. So they generally procure banana at a certain stage and they want to make sure that's procured at that stage only. So then you know how many days of shelf life it has. So that's something where our system predicts very accurately how many days it has, similarly for certain foods. And fish also, we are predicting that only, number of hours, so that they know should they accept it or not. That's one. Now the second is storage. Storage is more complex because there are a lot of elements involved. Even if you've done everything right, but if you've not maintained the temperature, it's gone. It will not happen what was supposed to happen when we check, right? So those things have to be monitored constantly. And apart from that, the gaseous compounds are to be measured also constantly. And then we believe there has to be a final test also. So storage is something we are working on because because that's more complex. Because a lot of other like if it's a storage room, there would be multiple commodities sitting there, right? The gas interactions would so what we designed is a matrix of sensors instead of just one sensor, so that at least the location, the XYZ coordinates of it is located, and then you can check it manually with maybe a portable device and check what is happening there. Because yeah, it will be not as accurate as a one device and not as accurate as, because gases are generally mixed and get diluted.
And different products, like different fruits.
Yes, they will be different.
Stuff,
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
I also have the same, you said about ethylene gas, you
Yeah.
also end up actually mixing all these things in storage.
Right.
So each one has their own kind of index, so how does it measure? Okay, maybe I think you should answer it already.
Yeah, it will have to be, it will not be very accurate, that's why. It will be an indicative buzzer, which will, if some concentration is suddenly increasing and we see that trend, and then that's how it will. And this is something under R&D right now. We are working with certain clients on storage, and we also believe that it's much easier if it's only one. Like for example, if it's just a fish storage, it will be much more easier than having multiple fruits and vegetables in there. Yeah, that will interfere.
So, let me say this one, Richard. We have already done some work around mangoes. And what are the matrices in mangoes sensor captures?
For us, we developed the mix, we developed the stage also, stage of nano. These were the two which we were accurately able to do it. A very strong use case comes for spongy tissue, but it's technically very difficult to detect spongy
You
tissue.
haven't cracked that.
Sorry?
Still, we haven't cracked the spongy tissue part.
No, it's complex to do it using just the spectral sensor. There would be much more expensive. Like with X-rays, it can be done. But how many of the buyers would be able to afford an X-ray machine?
But X-rays has got regulatory issues.
Yeah.
That is it. But the technologically, it is possible with X-rays to detect sponge.
And in the places which are, some customers are focused on, whereas you using this solutions of yours.
So,
Right. Currently.
right. So we have sold it to multiple farmers in the fruits. In terms of the retail clients, currently we are serving Nandus and specifically working on seafood there. And before that, in fruits, we have worked with startups majorly, Udan, Captain Fresh, and this Country Dairy.
And the other part is post deployment of a solution and pre-solution scenario. There is some data to check in terms of how it's been development, means the customer, end of it boils down to the customer, feedback.
Yes.
I mean, so there are some data points to check whether there's been improvement
Yes.
and how much has been the percentage.
Yes. So we benchmark it compared to a manual grading process. Improvement in time, improvement in accuracy, how it's comparing to a manual grading process. So we run a kind of a race between the two, a manual method and our technology method, and we generate report on how much.
But I'm asking from a customer's perspective, for example,
Yeah.
have they come back to say that, they have got a very good customer experience out of this product post deployment of the sensor?
So they come up with a lot of new features that they need. That's one main thing. Like they want it for potatoes, they want it for chilies, they want it for watermelon. So they come up with too many use cases, and that's why we feel that unless money is discussed, it's very difficult. Unless from day one money should be discussed, because use cases they will say that we will buy it if you make it and then go. That becomes a challenge also, like a kind of a diplomatic challenge also how to talk about it. But because the problem is we know fresh food has 100 problems, right? If I go to a QA person, he will tell me everything about what like black heart in potatoes to like for example mangoes, spongy tissue to chilies has some problem, and every food commodity has certain problem, right?
I think what we want to but then saying that whatever you have provided
Right.
solution,
Right.
so did they come back saying like the pre-rejection and the post-rejection? Is there a comparison?
Yeah,
Saying like,
yes.
Is there an improvement in
Yes,
the
yes.
quality or the activity?
Yes. That has happened. That's what right. It has improved for certain modeling. For apples, we were able to help one of our clients in rejecting a very bad lot of green apples, where like around more than half of it was internally they were able to detect it using R and reject the lot of those.
I will also like to add on, they had also seen, so they had a system in which they used to get their customer rejections.
Yeah.
So we would also pay with that have their customer rejections decreased.
Yeah.
And also the reasons that their customers have given for the rejection, they are addressed. We have that data, I would say.
The causes of rejections vis-a-vis pre and post.
I would say we have that qualitative data. I would say because it's again a very sensitive data that the customer will not get completely because it's also linked to a lot of their internal operations. But we do have some qualitative data points that we were able to resolve some of their customers' concerns and rejections due to that. And also on the procurement side, like the procurements that they were getting, we were able to catch any problems that they were having in the procurements way early, so that it would not even go in their system. So if it would not go there in their system, they will not face problems later.
So you can see the customer complaints or a consumer complaints coming down
Yeah.
because of having your systems in place.
Yeah. For certain commodities, it's also important for us to focus on commodities where we are targeting the main problem of that commodity.
Right.
For example, if we are able to detect bricks in one fruit where the problem is something else, for example, mango, simple as that. Bricks is fine, but spongy tissue issue is there. Now we are not able to solve it, right? So even if we have solved it for bricks. So it's for us also, it's important that we know that commodity, what are the problems, if that main problem can be solved technologically.
Yeah.
When that is done, it helps the customer, definitely.
Yeah.
Even in exports, we see a lot of exporters. Now we are working with some certain exporters, and for them also rejection is a very huge problem, right? And for them it becomes very important to use such a technology where they are able to send something that gets rejected, not get rejected.
Ma'am, in your grading system, what are the rejection criteria system set? For example, it is detectable for diseases. So bricks and all, that is a sensor basis.
Right.
What about the diseases?
Yeah, diseases
That
also,
also
certain
is-
diseases can be, like drowning can be, while spongy tissue might not be able to.
Those
Yeah.
are all the internal. What about the external?
External also blemishes and other diseases. I think Shrishti, some even fish, I mean some diseases are
We
there.
have that, but
We have a visual system also. We have a camera, computer vision also integrated, where anything that's visible, like for example from the eye color or from the skin, that is able to be detected. We are able to
Any type of infestation is there. For mangoes also we can see. Outside it would be firm and the quality visually it would be good. If we cut it only, we can see that. So that.
Yeah, so certain things can be done. Certainly, for example, spongy tissue stuff. With spectral, we have to write a lot.
And,
Infestations and all. Infestations, certain infestations can be if it's detectable with spectral or a camera, that's possible. If it's very micro level, then probably it might not be. Or also, what is it causing? If there is a chemical change inside, that can be easily be done.
And you have any system for predict the mango, how it is getting ripened? It's a natural ripen or it's artificial ripen?
Yeah, that we are able to do because we predict the bricks, so we know the color versus. So we saw a lot of green mangoes being sweet, so that's definitely not. So for a variety, which shouldn't be ripened.
Bricks is different, madam.
Yeah,
I'm asking how it's getting ripened.
Yeah. So we are doing indirectly that only. Like for example, even ripeness, we are predicting via sugar content because that changes with the ripeness. Similarly, if there is a mismatch between how a variety's color should be changing with the bricks, so there is a trend in that. How much color is changing, how much bricks should be changing. If that's not getting followed, it's definitely artificially ripened. Because you might be using chemicals which is ripening it faster than its own lifetime.
With that, what you guys are asking, that's why the food safety kicks in, So that's very critical, whether you are using the approved green processes or the carbide processes.
So chemical tests are there, but yeah, that would be a kind of a litmus kind of a test.
But the thing is, now the challenge is we can't able to predict the carbide ripening things in the testing in the labs because of that testing method is not developed.
Okay.
The only thing is we can detect based on arsenic gas development.
Awesome.
Okay. Apart from that, we can't predict anything.
Okay.
So for that, if you have any solutions, it will help to that.
Just to know how big would that be solution, how much will you be willing to pay for it? Because everything can be developed.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Everything can be developed, give us money to develop.
Yeah, we can pay anything because
carbide is one of the major issues today.
That's a bad thing.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
We are ready to do anything.
actually we have worked in the carbide thing for a very long time and we know how the tech is going to
But Srini, pardon my
But we have not
observation,
got
it's
anything on
Srini, powder
thing that
material
you
is
should do it.
commercial.
That is,
It could not be powder, but
powder is when the carbide is open,
Okay.
it will develop the powder. Now the pimples are covered with
And whenever we say
So only the gas.
As I said,
it doesn't
Don't
proceed.
be just like this.
So that's what I'm asking, how big is this problem for you to address it because we have the capabilities to do it?
See, while she's saying that actually carbide now actually
Yeah.
has become very old chemical.
Yes.
But there are ways and means that, like, for example, as you were saying earlier, Steve was like that, I see the powder, okay, carbide,
Yes.
but it's no more like that.
Yeah.
They're also masking it, washing it, everything is being done now. So, but the major problem in food safety today is it artificially ripened or is it actually the right way? So these are two, artificial ripening also there are several things. But carbide ripening is an actually area, as you said, that's a critical point for us actually in terms of food safety. So we are willing to invest on this. The problem here is, can you have a solution for us?
But that's the only
It's
something to
No, but if labs are not able to detect, then it will be a very tough solution because if labs like I'm assuming that a food lab is not able to detect it, right?
No, food lab will be
Will
able to
detect
detect
it.
it, but that will take me 2 days, 3 days, right? And I'm
If
not
there is a
sure,
method to
and I'm
detect
not too sure the report which is coming in is a valid report or not, okay? So that's another, big thing to handle. So then I can't ask my vendor, I can't have the product sitting on the shelf and wait for that report to
No,
come,
I
right?
understand.
So the thing is, saying that if you get funded for this project, saying that for example, I have a big problem, carbide problem is there. I want to know, do you guys have a solution for it or have you done anything to say, saying that yes, we can solve this problem? Right? And
Yeah, but
that's-
two big areas. If you are in metro, you can get bigger than that. Maybe you guys could join me for the project.
I would actually disagree from the way Ramesh started. He said that the categories are different industries now.
Right.
Specifically, that's what we have learned in big basket. Fruits and vegetables are eventually going to be managed. But we are, metro, big basket, we are pioneering this space now. And other players are coming, and Reliance has been there for ages, since 2003 years, 2006 to be precise. So the business side of it is very strong. But then, sustainable solutions is where they are looking at.
Right.
At a scale.
Yeah, exactly.
At scale, you have to do this. That is, I will just give you one little bit of an example. Like when tomatoes become 200 rupees price, with all our great processes, I was running a business, it was top on my complaint items. Today it is 10 rupees, it is vanished from my complaint items. Please understand the perspective of what I am saying. So what you pay is what you expect the quality is as a perception.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but this is not the idea of this forum. This forum is to make it more standardized to do that. How do we do this?
How do you do it? Saying like, do you have the capability? Sure, this understand saying that yes, carbide has been a problem, especially for writing processes. Carbide is a banned, chemical. You can't use it, but still people use it officially and unofficially. But then, do we have a solution to it?
If labs can do it, what I can assure is there is always a method to do a portable solution for a lab. What I understood was lab is not able. If lab is able to, a lab equipment mostly a spectroscopy only, a high-grade spectroscopy or a GCMS would be detecting it, right? If that is possible at a lab level, then it should be able to be replicated as an indicative test at a portable level. That's definitely possible.
Yeah. So we have the capabilities, we have studied this system. I think you mentioned the carbide. I think we explored another system of pesticides.
The pesticides we are working on, antibiotics and pesticides.
So we have seen that anything the chemical you want to capture is going to be a tricky one. If you have mentioned if you can detect it by a GCMS, HCMS, HPLC or anything, we can get at least an indicated test. to you to test it, and then you can maybe send
So
samples.
in this end, the residual,
Pesticides are very, very difficult.
isn't it tough? Each one is so complex.
Yeah, so
Adopted
pesticides.
on many.
There are many, as in
Exactly. I think that's where the solution becomes not scalable because 100 if you have to test, you have to have 100 tests.
Yeah.
So I think that's where.
And it will always.
And that way, every community will have its own set of pesticides and
Right.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
if we have only very dedicated, it's like you say, okay, let's just do carbide, just one thing.
Another my question, another one question. In field level, so is there any system to monitor how many days prior the farmers are sprayed the
That's a very good
pesticides?
observation. Very good.
Pesticides.
No, but the question is also coming from an angle that actually what he said, 200 rupees tomato, we all consume pesticides. So if you know about it, so that's also actually the limitation of this. I think we have found out, I think when it peaked during that time, everybody and anybody was paying anything and everything. So we all ended up actually having pesticides in our body. We have also consumed, given it to somebody. So that's actually more harmful. I think that's where I think this community should build a system, robust system in terms of handling. Yeah, Selva's question is we have to only answer that. That's a different state of the story. Because I think he is coming from an angle that can be detected before.
Yeah, because based on the pesticide nature, so the farmer after spraying the pesticide, there was a time limit is there. So for 1 week after only they can hours.
Right.
Some pesticide after 15 days.
Right.
So nowadays it is not happening properly because of the price, everything. If the price is cheaper in the market, so within 2 days they spray and send it to the harvest the material. So it's very harmful to the
Number of days.
consumers.
Because they have high half-life, it should be possible. Again, in labs, I think it's possible, right? How much of
No,
residue?
labs is possible, but we can't always depend on the labs. So I want
We
to
have to
find
calculate the
solution.
business value of it because this solution will be very expensive. First, to detect the pesticide and then also the.
So
yeah.
earlier soil fertility test and pH test and all is through the lab only.
Right.
Now it's a very
Indicative,
minimum
yeah.
kits. It's 1,000 rupees
Right.
like that. It is there.
Yes.
So like that,
It
it
can
is some kind of indication.
Yes.
So
So it's
that's what
possible.
I
This might be an easier problem potentially because one kind of a crop you only have one kind of pesticide.
Okay.
They'll typically spray one thing,
Right.
they will not spray multiple things. So this might be a more solvable problem.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned half-life,
Yeah.
then from that I think this might be a more solvable problem.
it's based on some liquid test, the color changing, those kind
Right.
of the small kits.
Right. So possible.
I think there are some tests can be developed around that you give the fruit or something in the water and you can liquid that.
Because there you can have a destructive test also if you just do a sample.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do some sort of sampling test there. Those, I think they will still not be very instantaneously, those tests you can develop because there are two things that we're always trying to balance. One is with the sensitivity and the specificity. So if we want to be sensitive to specific code, it will be a little longer test to do and get finer details of it. If you are only just looking at the indicative one, it might not be very sensitive or my bigger way is that it might not be also very specific in certain cases if there are too many pesticides used. So these tests are generally developed molecule wise. So let's say this molecule is a very generic pesticide,
That
DDT.
is okay. We are not going in depth of the pesticide details. Whether it is sprayed or not, how many days? That's it.
So that's what I'm saying. To develop that tech, you will have to go into the
Because
details.
what was sprayed, na? There could be like anything, like to detect what is sprayed, we have to at least even not accurately, some chemical test has to be there that some chemical is
Some
present.
marker has to be there.
Some
Some
market
market.
has
So
to
where he's coming from is there is a more of a residual value of
Yes.
pesticides which are
What we can do is we just get out for a break, we can continue discussion. Because we have arranged for some snacks on the page. So I don't want it to get that. But you continue the question. Yes. Because we can have this one.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Rahul. We will take a quick break, have some snack. She is very nice to us. We just asked for the room, we got free snacks. That's the good thing about being in food industry. You always get food wherever you go.
We do not want to miss that opportunity.
So we'll take a quick break. We can continue the discussion during the break, and post that we'll go through a walkthrough I think people who are live, you guys don't have anything else to watch. So this was a discussion. Please do stay tuned. Join the community. There are links. The video is available to you. You can reach out to any of us. We are Food Safety Works. Our community is on HasGeek, so you can log into HasGeek, join the community, and we can stay engaged. I think there will be more sessions like this, and we'd love to have a lot more people having this discussion. I think it's a very nice discussion that we are having today. All right, so folks online, thank you very much. We'll wind up the online part and get into the offline.
Yeah.
And a big break for coffee and snacks.